Hey everyone, Mano back here for another Destiny 2 gameplay and strategy video. Today we're going to be going through the 0-hour heroic mission, giving you a complete guide for the entire mission for the Catalyst for Outbreak Perfected. Outbreak Perfected is the Destiny 2 version of the Outbreak Prime, which was one of the exotic weapons that was prominently featured in the Rise of Iron expansion in Destiny 1. I've seen a ton of guides on how to get the basic weapon itself, but not too many guides on how to do the exotic Catalyst mission, so I thought I would take you through from start to finish, including team composition strategies, all the solutions to the puzzles, and give you everything that you need to know to get this completed. Team composition can be whatever you're comfortable with, but I would recommend some long-range weapons. I'm going to be using a Sniper Inaugural Address, Nation of Beasts. I'm also going to be using Whisper of the Worm. I'm going to be on a Celestial Nighthawk Hunter, although we do have 2 Tether Hunters. We also have some other people in our fire team who are going to be using Risk Runner, which is very helpful. So very much like the start of the mission, we're going to go ahead and run through as fast as we possibly can. One thing that I would recommend is if you know that someone in your fire team is a little bit behind. For example, we ran with one of our clan mates here. They actually were lagging in behind. What you can do is get a start on some of these enemies first, so you can actually run through very quickly and get things done. I'm using my Void Inaugural Address to take down the shields, since this week it is Void Singe. On any other week when there's a different singe, I'd recommend using a weapon with that particular singe. Stay behind cover in this area here. I find that many people who rush out and they try and fight all those enemies at once here in the old tower, but they'll end up getting destroyed because of all the enemies focusing their weapons fire on them. As quickly as possible, take out all of those different enemies in that area. Again, lots of void shanks, and if you've got a person with Risk Runner, taking out those shields on those captains. As you move up over here, I would recommend at least one person switching to a solar weapon to take care of the shields for the giant shanks. You'll see me churn over to Trust, which I really do recommend for any kind of a solar shield shank here. One of the reasons why is I have the curated role that allows me to get energy ammo back into my gun. I'm going to use my sniper at long range and use lots of cover behind one of these columns here, so we can take out the shank without being in an exposed area. At this point, I would have other folks taking a second to get the other shanks down, or at least get the other shields down. There are going to be some snipers on the top area over next to where the old vaults were. Make sure you take those out. There are a number of different enemies that will hurt you if you are out in the open, so very much take cover. As soon as you get this shank down, move on down the road almost to the hangar. Again, if you didn't notice, this mission is the very first mission in Destiny Homecoming, but it is actually reversed. So most people have figured that out by now, but just a fun fact. I'm going to stay on my Trust hand cannon, because as you come into the hangar bay over here, you are going to run into a number of different shielded enemies. First of all, assign a couple of people to shoot those ads that are far across, but I'm going to stay on my Trust here and easily knock out some of these shanks here that have solar shields. At this point, I would recommend having someone on a tether or a void walker with Skull of Dire Ahamkara, taking out some of those ads there. Since those enemies are tethered for the most part, I can create a number of different orbs here and kill many of the enemies that are tethered. At this point, assign different people to take out different enemies. For example, we have some people who are dedicated to taking out these servitors, while I'm going to go down and take care of a couple more ads that still have solar shields. At this moment, you want to work together to figure out how you want to take out the servitors and then the tank. At this point, I'm going to flip back over to a void weapon. If you want, one of the last perditions is a weapon that dropped with Joker's Wild and the expansion there. That is also another good void pulse rifle that I would recommend using through here. If you do get too clumped together, the tank can shoot you at a distance. Just be ready to res your folks who are around there. I would recommend splitting up if possible. You see that one of our teammates goes up to the top, and then that will keep the tank mostly from shooting and destroying you. At this point, I'm going to use my golden gun really quickly. If you do not have a golden gun, a Whisper of the Worm, a couple of shots at the legs and then at the weak point there will get you out of that area very quickly. Moving up through this area here, I would very much recommend that as a group you stick together. You will see the three of us stick together and not push up too much farther, because if any one person exposes themselves too much, all of the enemies will focus their attention on that one person, and that one person will end up getting dead, and then you'll have to be exposed while trying to res that person as well. There's going to be one giant solar shielded shank there, so take them out as quickly as possible. During this section, you want to make sure you move together as a giant group to make sure that you clear all the different ads. At this point, if you need to switch weapons, this is a good spot to do it. I know some people would prefer to use Jotun at this point in the mission. One little shortcut is you can hop over that box there and save probably about 2 seconds if you don't want to run down the entire stairway. Make sure that you kill the one enemy that is here. Double check and make sure that there are no more that are hiding around you. And this is also a great point for that person that is assigned to using Risk Runner or any kind of an arc weapon to run through here, because they are going to be facing a bunch of scattered enemies through here that are going to have arc damage. Very easy for people to kill all those enemies there if they're using those arc weapons at that point. As you go through here, what will happen is there will be a shield that will be up. If you have not killed all the enemies, that shield will remain up, so make sure you clear it off in a group. As you come back over here, this is actually the starting point of Destiny 2 right here. You're going to slide underneath this elevator point right here, and at this point we need to talk about some different alternating paths you can take. As you come through this shaft right here, if you go to the left, that is the original mission. What you're going to do, since this is heroic, is go over to this shaft right here and go down. As you enter into the next shaft, there are 2 paths you can take. We'll talk about the first one, which is the path to the left. At this point, you can go ahead and fall down into this area. There are going to be two bridges, and what you're going to do is fall down onto the lower bridge. Off in the corners of this room, there are going to be red pipes. When you hop onto those red pipes, you will see different switches that you can activate. They activate one of the lids, one of the doors that have to be open so that you can progress to the next area. I believe that is door 3, the one that I actually activated. And a lot of people don't actually know how to get back up to the room that they need to go to. But if you go into one of the corners, you will find a bunch of different piping pieces here, and you will find a waterfall. Some people recommend dying at this point, but if you know where you're going, you can actually save quite a bit of time if you can actually just climb these up very easily. And you'll see this climbing mechanic where there's some places you can climb to, just back and forth and back and forth. You can do it much quicker if you actually go up like this, going up as much as possible like that. Let's show you the path if you go to the right. There is door 3. If you take the path to door 3, you can actually head right to the lid and the door where you need to climb up. You need to make sure that you at least send one person to hit those switches so that the doors open. You need to get over to door 3 so that when the switch is activated, you can hop on top of the lid and start to make your jumps. Now, one reason why I recommend that multiple people start to move off to the next area is because the next jumping puzzles can be very, very difficult if too many people are clumped together as a group. This way, one person can get a head start on their path and continue jumping up in that area so that they can be ahead of everyone else. Once you do this, you will come to another long, narrow shaft pathway. At this point, what you're going to need to do is hop over. You will see some orange lines on the right and the left-hand side of the room. You want to use those small ledges to hop over to the next group of ledges. Make sure you don't mistime your jumps because you can hit your head as you come down. Once you get over to the final spot, you will see a green switch that my teammate actually activated. You can hit that, and that will make some platforms that make it easier for everyone to move across through that jumping puzzle. As you come down here, you're going to go and follow the red pipes down here, and this will take you to the outside of the wall. This is one of the coolest parts in this heroic mission. You actually get to go outside of the wall. There are going to be some sewer pipes that you're going to need to climb to on the heroic version. These are very, very slippery and ones that you can die to very easily. I really recommend that you get a good running jump. Warlocks, you might need to turn on burst glide. Titans, I would really recommend having something that would increase your mobility just a little bit. You can recover. You can see it right there. I actually recovered from that spot very easily. Just make sure you time your jumps. When you get to the final sewer grate, climb up 3 pipes. You will then find a cylinder that you can hop up to here. This plate here that I'm going to jump on actually falls out underneath you almost immediately, so you need to continue your momentum and keep pushing forward. At this point, you'll make a blind jump around the corner. Then you will see a number of different platforms with a timed delay actually come up. After a certain amount of time, those platforms will go away. So you need to make sure that you move across those very easily and very calmly. If you go too slow, you'll end up falling down underneath and you'll have to restart the entire jumping puzzle again. As you come through here, you are going to come down to a long shaft. You're going to hug the wall to the left first. As soon as you pass that obstacle on the right, you're going to go ahead and go to the right. At this point, make sure that you hop down there and you stop your momentum. I would jump a little bit later so that way you don't fly into the wall and kill yourself. I did that many times. As soon as you go through this area, you're going to hop onto some pipes. Hop onto this area here. Make sure you don't overjump it like I did. Go through this shaft here and you will come to the area where you are above the fans. At this point, you need to hop onto the fans like this. Look for the locations down below. Hug the walls that are lit in red, and actually just make your way down. There are some faster ways to do this. For example, you can bounce off those and immediately go to the center of the fan. But since this is heroic, you're going to need all the time you can get. At this point, you're basically back into the level of the original Outbreak Prime 0-hour mission. So at this point, you can follow the instructions until we reach one of the other puzzles, but I'm going to continue to walk through what you need to do and how to help you through these jumping puzzles. At this point, you're going to see some long, narrow strips on the right and the left side of the room. I'd really recommend that you try and time your jump so that you jump right at the very base of where those platforms are. You can see right there, I waited until the last second, because if you hit it at the wrong angle, your head will actually run into the wall and you'll get bounced back off to the distance. Once you get through this area here, there will be a switch that you can activate, so your teammates will then have an easier time to get through this. As you come through this area here, you're going to come through to where we have the 4 switches that we have to activate in the ventilation system, plus the robot. If you look there, there is the map of the layout of the room. You will see 4 red switches. Those are the switches that you have to activate to open the door. There are some spots that you can hide in throughout the room. You do not have to get killed by the robot. You will see me use them a number of times through this area to make sure that I don't die. I'm going to go ahead and take the right side, and I'm going to go through there and activate the switches. What we do as a team is communicate which side the robot is on, because the robot can actually be baited into turning around and going to different paths. For example, the robot does not take a set path all the way through. They can actually turn around and can also go to different locations if they hear sounds, gunfire, and things like that. At this point, I'm going to go get the switches that are on the right-hand side. I actually went a little too far on this particular path. And what you're going to see me here do is that I'm going to hear the robot coming. I'm going to actually go the opposite way to where he is going to be coming. The robot is going to turn the corner off to where I just was, and I'm going to escape and head back the other way. Now, one thing you can do is that there are a number of different electrical traps as well. If you get there early enough and you are a hunter, you can actually dodge through them if they are just starting up. You might take a little bit of damage, but if you use your dodge, you can actually push through them if they start up right away. I'm going to hit the second switch right there. Here's another electrical field. If you do push up to the electrical field and actually get damaged, you will bounce back if the effect is at its full capacity. Now, right here, you're going to see I hide right in one of these spots right here so that you don't die. There are a number of them throughout the actual map location. Just make sure that you kind of keep track of where they are. There also is a giant middle location where you can hop on some different red pipes that I'm not showing you in this video, but I'm sure that if you check around, you'll be able to see some videos of some places that you can hide. Right there, what actually happened is the robot turned around and actually killed one of my teammates, but luckily it started going the other way, and the three of us, there's a perfect example right there of me hopping through that just as it started. I took a little damage, but life is good. But anyway, we all got to the same point. We all rezzed each other, so this was some pretty good timing for us. As you climb up here, you want to activate these switches. They look like they will go fast first, and then they slow down quite a lot. What you will see is a very slow rise to the top, and then they will actually come crashing down. So you need to be looking up above. As you start to feel like a final push up above, go ahead and make a jump off. Go into the mine shaft and try to head down straight in the center. You'll see me line up with that line on that metal grate there. Then I'm going to go straight down. At this point, I wouldn't recommend jumping. I would recommend actually just hitting the ground right there, because if you jump, your momentum will carry you through and kill you. At this point, go ahead and go through the mine shafts, and we're getting pretty close to the final room. But first, before we do that, we have to enter the vault and talk about the puzzle. There is a puzzle here in the vault that we need to cover. Look for that symbol that it will open the door. Just push up on that door. You don't have to shoot or anything else like that, but you are going to see this grid on the floor. You're going to see me take a prescribed path, but you will notice that we will die here in just a second, because what will happen is one person will accidentally step off. To the left side of the screen, you will find the path you can take. You have to make sure that you stay right in the center of that grid. If you even cut one little corner, I have found that people can die through, and you'll see my teammates actually come through and cut through this section. You can take multiple people and go through, but if you're not comfortable, or you want to make sure that you spend a couple of people through first, this is a good way to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and follow the path on here. I really recommend having that picture either pause when you're doing this run, or I'm going to leave a link to see if you want to download it onto your computer on your phone, so you can take that through and go use that when you're running it. So at this point, we're going to go off to the far right hand side. You will see that the light is not blue, but it is red. We will come down here through this area, and at this point, it's very much like the actual Outbreak Prime 0-hour mission. You just have to kill all the enemies that are throughout there in this mission. And remember, since the damage is scaled up to 700 power level, you very much have to be aware of your surroundings and not getting surrounded by different enemy types. One thing I would recommend is when you start up with the group of 3 people, I'd recommend taking out the turrets first. Back up just off to the distance so that those turrets can't hit you. Blast furnace pulse rifles are very good, especially if you can proc feeding frenzy or any kind of a damage boost on them. You'll see me use a sniper. At this point, if you've got a warlock or a tether, what you can do is you can actually wipe out all of those void shanks very easily just by tagging them like that. You may not kill the servitor all the way, so you want to make sure that you do some damage. As soon as there is a decent amount of damage done on that servitor, another group of enemies will come in. Now, those shanks are actually going to have solar shields. I would recommend killing one of the giant servitors first before moving on to the final, the second wave of servitors. At this point, I'll have my teammate tether, and I'm going to go ahead and make some orbs for them and kill all of those enemies, get that golden gun shot off. You'll see much of the damage is done to the servitor. I'll go ahead and clean up with my sniper rifle. As soon as that happens, you're going to go ahead and move off. I'm going to switch to my Nation of Beasts hand cannon, so I have some arc weapons when the other shanks come in. So you want to make sure you vary it. Again, you want to make sure you have a varying different types of energies, so that you can kill different enemy types as they come through. As soon as there is a certain amount of damage done to the enemies, 2 tanks are going to spawn up. I really recommend that you have people assigned to those tanks so that you basically you can take them out bit by bit. I was pushed up a little too far in this encounter at this point. The truth is you can actually back up on top of the area where I was just in when I was switching to the Nation of Beasts hand cannon, and you can snipe those guys from quite a distance away, especially if you want to run this solo on the normal difficulty. I'm sure that someone will do this on heroic as well, but the jumping puzzle takes quite a bit of time. I would really recommend having Whisper at this part, because otherwise ammunition is going to be an issue. Just like the Whisper of the Worm mission when it was updated for the Forsaken expansion, there is not many pieces of heavy ammo, even if you're running heavy ammo finder. You can usually find maybe 1 or 2. But again, I would really recommend having Whisper of the Worm if you need to do some significant damage. At this point, we're basically dividing the different teams together so we can take out different tanks. At this point, I really recommend killing a couple of the Shanks at this area. You will also see that there is another Vandal that is out. You will see that we do not kill the entire group of enemies, and there's a reason behind that. If you kill all of those small enemies before killing the boss will spawn in more adds. At this point, I'd really recommend that you just take out the boss as soon as the tanks are taken care of. Kill the boss as soon as possible. Leave 2 of those small enemies alive so that you can finish things up. Now, it was a pretty rough run, I'm not gonna lie. We had a couple of issues with our Whisper of the Worm. I know a couple of times my Whisper of the Worm, I didn't proc all of the headshots as I got here. At this point, I'd really recommend that this is where you really need to focus on hitting every single shot with your snipers, working together to chain your supers. You'll see that there are a couple of tether shots, and I'm aiming to get my golden gun back again. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my Bite of the Fox sniper and just do as much damage as I possibly can. At this point, it's basically working against the clock. I'd really recommend that you have some type of primary that is linked to whatever the singe is for the week that you are doing this. At this point, it is a void singe, so I'm going to take a second. Again, try and if I don't have any more ammunition, switch over to whatever I can do to do more damage. So I go over my void inaugural address. At this point, working together just as a team to get as much damage on this as possible. I'm so close to my golden gun, I actually risked going for a couple more orbs. At this point, we were looking at the clock and just wanting to get that boss done. Now, since we killed the boss at that point, we just needed to kill that 1 Shank, and then we were all done. I know it was a little bit of a dirty run here at the end, but at the end of it, we were able to complete it and get the catalyst all taken care of. I really do hope that this video helped out, especially for those people who are struggling with the heroic version of this mission. It is not easy. At this point, you'll be given a certain number of Siva particulates and the catalyst. The catalyst will go 20% up to where you need to do a couple other things with the Outbreak Perfected. We're going to go ahead and look at the catalyst right now. To complete the catalyst and get it rolling so you can get increased nanite damage, you'll need to do that particular mission 4 more times, as well as do a number of precision headshots. All right, folks, that's everything you need to know to get the catalyst taken care of and get the 0-hour heroic version of the mission taken care of as well. If you did like something in this video, a positive rating is greatly appreciated. Hit that subscribe button for more Destiny 2 content. If you haven't followed me on Twitch, twitch.tv/manodestra777, and hopefully you guys can get your Outbreak perfected as well. Leave a comment down in the comment section below as well if you are having any kind of difficulty, and I'll help you out as best as I can. Until then, Guardians, good hunting, and I'll see you next time in the universe of Destiny.